What you are doing is historic. Do you guys feel the weight of that?
Ashley Esposito.
Yeah, I definitely feel the pressure to be successful.
And Kwame Kenyatta Bay.
Yes, there's a pressure because there's a responsibility.
Are the first ever elected members of the Baltimore City Board of School Commissioners. Historically, board members have been appointed by the mayor and governor. But in 2022, Kenyatta Bay and Esposito won their citywide elections, making history. They recently sat down with Project Baltimore for their first interview since being sworn in.
We don't have a blueprint of how to be an elected official in this role, so we're kind of setting the standards. So we're hoping that at least for myself, hoping to set it very high.
We began our conversation with the biggest educational issue facing the state, the blueprint for Maryland's future. Passed in 2021, the blueprint pumps billions of additional tax dollars every year into public education, but it also mandates how much of that extra money must be spent. Some local school systems, such as Baltimore and Howard counties, have considered cutting programs and teacher positions to meet those mandates.
Is this school system going to have to cut jobs or cut programs because of the blueprint?
That's a good question, and I would defer to my financial people.
Both commissioners support the blueprint, but believe adjustments in how the law is funded and implemented will likely have to be made. But so far, lawmakers in Annapolis have not been willing to make adjustments.
You have concerns about the funding.
I have concerns about education funding broadly,
Period.
Honestly.
It's kind of ridiculous not to think that in the implementation stage you don't see where you have to adjust variables.
When it comes to per pupil spending, Baltimore City Schools is one of the highest funded large school systems in America, according to the U.S. Census. And due to the blueprint, funding is increasing fast. Even as student enrollment continues to decline, the school board recently passed a nearly $1.8 billion budget. This year, the district will spend nearly $23,000 per student. But while the funding is increasing, many key academic outcomes are not improving. Since 2016, the year CEO, Dr. Sonia Santelises, took over, city schools' graduation and attendance rates are down, while the dropout and chronic absenteeism rates are up. Federal test scores in math and reading are also on the decline, especially compared to the large city average. We asked the commissioners if the investment from taxpayers is paying off.
Yeah, I think I'd want to really ground it on the fact that our students aren't products or commodities.
Thank you.
They're whole human beings. I think that's the part of it that's really missing from the story, is that our kids, our communities that have been historically disinvested, and when we're talking about housing insecurity, all these other things and the wraparound services that they actually need so that they don't have a barrier to their participation in the classroom is really important.
As we study statistics, we understand that it can be throw it one way or another and looked at, and the worst thing is how we interpret it.
But this data, these are the kids. These are how the kids are doing.
And
if the kids deserve a great education, the data that I just gave to you is real.
When you're talking about dropout rates and graduation rates and attendance rates, the student populations that are most impacted statewide are foster care youth, unhoused youth, multilingual learners, and students with disabilities. We have a growing population of immigrant students, so that is definitely a challenge.
In their time on the board, Esposito and Kenyatta Bay have been focusing on working towards the future. The board, on its website, posted goals to achieve in the next 4 years. The list includes increasing literacy proficiency to 40%, math proficiency to 25%, while raising graduation rates from today's roughly 70% to 76%. Esposito and Kenyatta Bay admit these goals are lofty, but that is why they say they ran to be the first ever elected board members. to set a higher standard.
Do you believe the students in Baltimore City are getting the quality education they deserve?
I believe that we can do better. We can do better. Takes a little effort to claw your way out of the tar pits. And that's where education since 1954 has put a lot of urban populations.
I think that we all have a lot of work to do. I think we're gonna see improvements.
What if you don't get there? Who's held accountable? Who's responsible? What if you don't achieve those goals?
Let me tell you something. The buck stops at the board.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Commissioners Kenyatta Bay and Esposito are not even halfway through their first 4-year terms as elected board members. But as of now, both tell Project Baltimore they plan to run for re-election. I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
I'm Mary Bubala. Thank you for watching. Here's another video for you to watch. Also take some time to subscribe to our YouTube channel.